They call it Black Friday, a day of deals. But have you ever asked yourself, why black? Why a color once tied to mourning, death, and loss? Why did that suddenly become a symbol of consumption and joy? Now, some say it's just marketing. Some whisper something even darker. A story of control, color, and capitalism. And a truth that no one wants to confront, but today we will. Behind every shopping cart and every flash discount sign lies a history written in greed, blood, and silence. Now let's start with what the textbooks don't say. Most people think that Black Friday was invented by retailers, basically a harmless phrase marking the start of the Christmas shopping season. But the first time those two words appeared in American history was not about shopping. It was about corruption. See, on September 24th in 1869, Wall Street collapsed. Two speculators, Jay Gould and Jay Fisk, they both tried to corner the US gold market. Their scheme triggered panic, bankrupting farmers, factories, and small businesses. The newspapers called it Black Friday. It marked a day when greed turned the market black. The Smithsonian's National Museum of American History describes it as one of the earliest public exposures of financial manipulation in post-Civil War America. No sales, no smiles, just ruin. Yet for over decades, marketers repackaged those two same words and turned tragedy into tradition. So now let's address the myth, the one that explodes on social media every November, that Black Friday began as a slave trading day when enslaved Africans were sold at discounts to plantation owners. Let's be clear, there is no historical evidence that such an event ever existed. See, historians like Dr. Tara Hunter of Princeton University and BBC History Unit confirmed that the slave narrative appeared online in the early 2000s as part of a viral email chain. But it resonated because it felt true to the Black experience. Why? Because capitalism and slavery have always been connected. The cotton trade, the Atlantic market, and the plantation system built the same mindset that modern consumerism thrives on. Human labor reduced to profit margins. So while the myth is false, the symbolism is real. A day where people trample upon each other for television echoes a time where human beings were auctioned for sugar and gold. By the 1960s, Philadelphia police were the first to use the term Black Friday again. Now this time to describe chaos. Officers dreaded the Friday after Thanksgiving when suburban shoppers flooded the city. Traffic jams, shoplifting, street fights. Police reports were so bad, they nicknamed it Black Friday, the day retail went mad. Retailers hated it. They wanted something cleaner, friendlier. So as the New York Times later noted, they rebranded it. They claimed it meant the day stores went into the black, meaning profit instead of loss. From blood to balance sheets. The phrase was sanitized, and it was a perfect example of capitalism's favorite magic trick: repaying the past and sell it back to you. Let's pause and look deeper at the symbolism. Why black? Because in Western finance, red means loss, black means profit. But in cultural psychology, black has long been linked to the forbidden, the feared, the other. As historian Dr. Neil Irving Painter writes in The History of White People, European art and science built a color hierarchy centuries ago, associating whiteness with purity and blackness with danger, sin, and servitude. That language didn't die. It evolved. From black markets to blackmail to black sheep, darkness became shorthand for deviance. So when retail adopted Black Friday, the name carried centuries of racial coding repurposed for consumer joy. Even language wasn't neutral. It was profit-branded prejudice. See, W.E. Du Bois once warned, he said, "Capital is reckless of the health or length of the life of the laborer." See, in the age of slavery, labor was human. In the age of credit, labor is digital. The same machine repainted. Now it doesn't sell people, it sells desires. We don't chain bodies anymore, we chain minds with ads, algorithm, and flash sales. Corporations study your dopamine spikes, your scrolling speed, your emotional fatigue. They study all of that. Now, as MIT Technology Review reports, major retailers use real-time surveillance AI to track where your eyes linger on your webpage. Turning your attention into data, fam, that is not freedom, that is plantation built in pixels, powered by impulses. Every Black Friday sale is built on invisible hands. When you buy a discounted smartphone, it's powered by Congolese Cobalt. When you purchase cheap gold jewelry, it often begins in Burkina Faso or Mali. Fast fashion? Well, it's stitched in Bangladesh, dyed in Kenya, marketed in Paris, and sold to you with a smile. This isn't globalization, it's extraction rebranded as opportunity. The African Union's 2023 trade report estimated that Africa exports $400 billion in raw materials yearly and re-imports them as finished goods worth over $1.2 trillion. That is the modern day triangle trade. Resources out, products in, profit abroad. So while the world celebrates Black Friday, Africa experiences it every single day. A continent on sale, discounted by design. Let's breathe. Close your eyes and picture a marketplace. One where your ancestors were once merchandise. One where your children now buy merchandise made by hands just like theirs. Different era, same system. Only the currency changed. And if that realization makes you uncomfortable, well, good. It should. Because healing begins where denial ends. Every year, economists repeat the same line. Black Friday boosts the economy. But whose economy? According to Business Insider, over 80% of Black Friday revenue in the US goes to basically 10 corporations. Amazon, Walmart, Apple, Best Buy, Target, you name it. But the workers who pack, ship, and sell those products earn barely enough to buy the same items they move. In 2022, The Guardian exposed how Amazon warehouses staff in Alabama and Poland worked 10-hour shifts with no bathroom breaks, while the executives earn bonuses worth millions. That is not prosperity. That's basically polished exploitation. And when we participate without reflection, we don't just spend money, we spend meaning. Now bring it home, okay? In cities from Lagos to Nairobi, Accra to Johannesburg, Black Friday banners now cover malls and Instagram pages. Imported concept, imported culture. Even the term Black in African marketing comes full circle, from identity to inventory, from skin to sale. Local artisans can't compete with products at discount prices below the cost. African e-commerce platforms mimic Western algorithms, pushing imported electronics over handmade crafts. We celebrate growth, yet we export our values daily. The economist Dr. Carlos Lopez, former head of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, once said that African economies have become efficient at exporting what they don't consume and import what they don't produce. Black Friday embodies that tragedy. Globalization dressed as progress. Black Friday is more than just a sale. It's a symbol. It teaches scarcity, not abundance. It rewards panic, not patience. It glorifies ownership, but only of things and not power. Notice how it conditions us to move at the sound of a bell, or basically saying limited time offer doorbuster, right? Final countdown, like literally with the bell. It's behavioral training, Pavlovian economics. And guess what? Guess what? It works. Psychologists like Dr. Kit Yarrow found that the human brain processes discounts like danger, adrenaline spikes, reasoning drops. You'll literally fight for flight shopping. So when people say it's just a sale, understand. It's also a ritual, one that keeps the cycle of dependency alive. But here's the good news, okay? We can rewrite this story. We can turn Black Friday into something powerful, something ours. Instead of buying blindly, buy Black owned. Support African creators, diaspora businesses, and local cooperatives. Shift the meaning from consumption to circulation. As Pan-African scholar Dr. Amos Wilson said, the only way to defeat a system built on your exploitation is to redirect the energy of that system towards your liberation. So this year, ask yourself, what if Black Friday meant Black empowerment? What if those billions went into building schools, not stock prices? What if for once our spending became strategy? That's the resolve the market fears the most. Conscious currency. History never really disappears, right? It hides in plain sight, behind ads, in algorithms, in holidays you don't question. The word Black has carried centuries of pain and power. They commercialized one, but they can't erase the other. Every time you say Black Friday, remember, it starts with corruption, survives through oppression, and thrives through destruction. But awareness is rebellion. They sold us the sale, but not the story. Now we're buying it back. When they call it Black Friday, we'll call it Black Freedom. When they chase profits, we will chase purpose. When they tell us what to buy, we decide what to build. Because the color they feared is the color that endures. This is the One Africa Network. Stories told by us, for us, and never against us.